Good afternoon. Today's verse is Psalms 119:105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. This may sound a little redundant. A lamp to the feet, a light to the path. It sounds kind of the same thing, so I figured I'd look into some other translations. So here's the other translations. Your word is a lamp to guide my feet and a light for my path. Or, your word is a lamp to guide me and a light for my path. Or, your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And the last one I have handy is, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So it's pretty clear. This is about finding your way. So I looked a little further, and reading on in this verse, I have sworn, the next verse after that, it continues on, I have sworn an oath and confirmed it to keep your righteous rules. I am severely afflicted. Give me life, O Lord, according to your word. Accept my free will offerings of praise, O Lord, and teach me your rules. I hold my life in my hand continually, but I do not forget your law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, but I do not stray from your precepts. Your testimonies are my heritage forever, for they are the joy of my heart. I incline my heart to perform your statutes forever to the end. So there's some keys in here as we look a little further. The part that really caught my attention is, I hold my life in my hand continually. Well, that might seem to conflict with the fact that we say God has the whole world in his hand and he's got me in his hand. But what this is saying is, I make my choices and I live with my consequences. But it's saying, if I know you, oh Lord, teach me your rules. I hold my life in my hand, but right before that it says, teach me your rules. So it's asking, this psalm is asking God to show me the rules, show me the path. And your lamp, your light, Lord, if I follow that, it will show me the way. This led me back to Proverbs 16:9. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Same kind of thing. The man is making his own choice about where he or she wants to go, but God has things already planned out. So we make missteps along the way, but the grand plan is still there laid out by God. And I believe that's where this verse is speaking to me today. So interestingly, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So it's twofold. It's a short term and a long term. Lord, your lamp is a light to my feet. Each step along the way. If I know what you want of that step, Lord, I can follow it. That's what this is saying. And a light to my path. In other words, if I know you, God, you will show me where you want me to be. You will give me my purpose, the purpose that you've written for my life. You will show me that purpose, and I will take steps toward that. And along the way, toward that purpose, please guide my steps. That's what this psalm is saying. That's what is speaking to me today in this. So it's all about the little things. If we think back about, even Indiana Jones, right? I mean, he's standing there on the cliff. He's taking one big step. That's a step of faith, a leap of faith, because he knew his purpose. He knew where he was going. But even knowing that he had to get from this side of the cavern to that side of the cavern, he needed to trust one step. He knew the path. He knew the plan. He knew the way he was supposed to go, but he still needed to trust that step. And so many times in life, we find people who are trying to follow God's plan for them, and there's missteps along the way for everybody. But the people who are doing a really good job are often seen as being a little bit different. Well, they are. They should be. They're doing exactly what God called them to do, and it may not make any sense to us. I mean, let's face it. Noah looked like he was completely insane until it started to rain. And then all of a sudden, he was the guy with all the answers. If you look at Peter, the first step he took out of the boat, following Jesus out on the waves, he was okay, focused on God, focused on Jesus incarnate in that moment. Focusing on Jesus, his steps were working. But when he got distracted by the wind and the waves and the darkness and the chaos of the storm, that's when he started to sink. He knew his path, but he forgot his step. And we need to remember that God not only is looking out for our path, he not only has a grand plan for our life and what he wants for us, but he also has a plan for every step along the way. And it's important for us to know God in the way he wants us to be. So while we can look at the Bible as a series of stories, that Bible shows us how God works. It shows us what he looks like. Those are all stories of individuals interactions with God, to him, for him, about him, through him. And if we study those and we really learn those, then we can look around and we can see that in today's world. So many people have said to me, my children included, I need to see it to believe it. And my point to them is, well, you have to believe it to see it. But the trick here is, if you're not in his word, then you don't know what you're looking for. And once you know what you're looking for, if you believe it enough to open the book and read the stories, then you'll actually know what the heck you're supposed to look for. So when you go out and you look around the world, then you see something. It's not just something cool. It's not just a coincidence. It's an aha moment. It's a God sighting. In that particular moment, you can look at that and say, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I've heard of this story. And you can go back and you can look at that moment and you can see God that you would not have seen had you not believed enough to open the book and enough to see who God is and get to know him. That's the part I missed for so many years, was getting to know him. I gave him the opportunity, right? I invited him to come into my life to know me. And that was when I was 17 years old. But it wasn't until much later in life that I decided, you know what, God, I want to know you. And that's when I really began to experience who God is. And the moments, the little things that appeared along the way, starting with a sticker on my truck, that got my attention. For the very first time, God poked me, that I remember, God poked me in the chest and said, hey, Pearson, I see what you did there. Do that stuff more. And I started to know God from that point on. So again, Psalms 119, 105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. It is the guide for the short-term steps as we chase forward towards the long-term goal that he has designed for the purpose in our lives. Father God, thank you so much for reminding us not only that you are there for the marathon, Lord, but you are there for each and every step, each moment along the way. Father God, sometimes we look out and we recognize that you are omnipresent and you are infinite, you are everywhere, and we forget, Lord, that everywhere includes right here. It includes right now. It includes right beside me, the 100 sheep, the guy that got lost, Lord. You came looking for me. You never left. I wasn't paying attention, but you never left me. So, Father God, thank you for looking out for my long term and also looking out for my short term. And Father God, I pray that I get to know you so intimately that I hear your voice, that I see your works in everything that I look around at in this world. And Father God, that I see the stories of you so that I can know you better and I can see you working in my life. Father God, thank you for the forgiveness and the mercy and grace. Thank you for all of it that you sent through your Son so that I can have an eternity with you. And I pray that everybody who hears this recognizes that, opens your word, and takes a minute to get to know you. For you have a better plan for our long term and our short term than we could ever possibly imagine. In your Son Jesus' holy name, amen. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And a light unto my path. And a light unto I pray that you can take this for just a moment, spend a couple minutes looking at a verse, even at this one, and recognize where God may be not only speaking to where you should be in the long term, what's your purpose, but where should you be in the short term? What steps are you supposed to take? And what steps, what little tiny steps take you one step closer to where God is in your life? Because we're all the 100 sheep. And no matter how far you think you may have gotten away from God, he's never that far away from you. God bless you. We'll see you soon.